Okay, today I want to show something inside of this membership that a lot of people have been asking me about. It's actually ways to create these bangle bracelets and in all different sizes. I thought I would do something new that's super skinny with tiny little bezel settings in here. So they're both projects that, that I know you guys are curious, and it's actually like a bump up from, you know, just your normal soldering. When you start off soldering, you can get an easy win when you begin soldering, but it's when you start learning these deeper and deeper layers of how to put things together, where to put the heat, and how to set things up is where, you know, and what type of props to use, what type, you know, the philosophy of soldering these pieces. When I taught this workshop, and that's what you learn in the membership, so I want to start getting into deeper and deeper, more complex work. So you have to have, you know, the whole intentional metalsmithing down a little bit, but don't worry about it if you don't. You can just soak it in and take in more. So when I was in Mexico, I thought this would be a really fun project, and I started teaching, just putting on the pieces around the sides, and I was really surprised at how much people struggled with it. So I wanted to actually conquer it today. And I'm going to be using, and I've got bezels and everything. I'm going to be using a 14 gauge square wire because I love the way 14 gauge sits to make a bangle bracelet out of it. And, you know, but you can use 18 if you want. Be really beautiful to have a whole armful of bangles that are 18 gauge, wouldn't it? Okay, so this is my ring mandrel. I've got a metal one here. They're different size bracelets. I'm going to go ahead and work with this size right here. When I know I can do a real tight bangle if it just hits right at this surface right here. So what I'm going to do is just start bringing this around. My square wire is pretty much annealed. You can also start smaller. A lot of times what I like to do is start smaller on the, you know, because it does push out a little bit. So if you start smaller on this top rung, it'll sit beautifully when you get it to the second rung. So this is where I was looking for, right here. And I have a beautiful little circle marked here. I didn't have to do any kind of work with my rubber mallet. Now let me see, this one is probably going to be a little small for me, but actually this whole piece is going to work tight, but it's going to work good. So all I have to do now is get these edges cleaned up. And there really is, so I'm going to put this aside. I won't need this for a little bit. Okay, there really is there's a good way with square wire, when wire is this thick, there really is a secret to aligning your square wire or decorative wire or any type of wire would work this way. There really is a secret to this. So what I'm going to do, your undercut, it has to be a little bit on a slant. So I'm going to cut this, because you want to have a tabletop edge on here. And I'm going to cut this straight, but a little bit slanted back. So see this little bitty slant right here? The inside of your circle needs to be cut a little smaller. And if you do things this way, it's going to make your life a lot easier, because the circumference of the inside of your circle is much different than the outside. Okay. Okay. Okay, just the tiniest bit. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to over-exaggerate my piece on each side, and I'm going to use my pliers really to make sure that these butt head on here. So let's see how that's going to work. Oh, I've got a little bit of a little bit more to do here. You actually want a really, really nice straight cut. And then I'm going to be using my file. Get myself some filing in. So You want to just move your file one direction. Just get it nice and straight on the edges. Make sure there's no burrs or ridges. I'm going to over exaggerate it. And then when I come back to my bezel, you can see how beautiful and how well matched this is. So we could probably bring the camera in a little closer. So when you're working on this piece here, you guys, it's worth the time to spend to make it look beautiful. Okay, so here's my piece that I just soldered, and I'm gonna get back onto my bracelet mandrel again. And I'm just gonna go ahead and go around. Usually I'll hold this on an edge and just make sure everything nice and tight. This work hardens it, gets it in good shape. You wanna make sure with the square wire that your wire is all in line and facing the right way. Okay, ooh, it's a nice circle there. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take my regular mandrel, see, I wanna make sure that it's flat. So let's get it this way. Oops, normally I don't use my anvil up here, but I wanted to be able to show you guys everything in this whole area. There we go, so it's nice and flat now, ready to go. Okay. Okay, I just pickled this, so it's all set. I was gonna put some gems in the side, but I wanted to try something a little fancier this time. This will be a couple, you know, I think what a lot of people say when they do this type of work is they, by the time you get on one gem, the one next to it ends up, you know, falling off or undoing. So I want to tell you guys that when I'm doing work like this, I thought I'd do something a little fancy and set the gems on the end of these things. I think it'll be really cool. But when you're doing this type of work, whenever I solder on one end, I'm going to quench it in between. And that really is the secret of being able to set all your stones at one time. And these large pliers, I love it. Okay, so these are going to go on here, but I'm actually not going to be able to do it this way because I'm going to set my gems first. So my gems are going upside down. Upside down. There's 3 of them I had pre-made that you guys saw. And let me get a little bit more spritz on everything. Just going to spritz the whole outside. And I'm going to use my little bit of Hold It. I do love Hold It because this one actually will hold all your pieces in place. Even though you have to wash it in between. If it gets on your silver, you're not going to be able to solder there. But it really works well to hold your pieces up in the air when you need it to. Okay. Okay, so I have a piece of Hold It. So you can do all different ways on here. You can actually bring this around and set this straight up in the air like this. There we go. Although let's bring this a little higher because I'm going to set my gem right here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to spritz this all down. I'm going to actually remove my bezels. I already have the bezels made that go on here. So let me get this all fluxed up. And there's my seam. I actually don't have to have that much. I'm just going to flux the whole thing. Okay, now when you're working with this big of a piece, you're going to see that I'm going to light my flame, but I have to actually get my whole piece heated because this big of a seam, if I tried to just solder this one area and not the rest of my whole piece, this is the case where you need to heat up your whole piece because it's so big, it just would snap in that area. Okay, I mean it would collapse my spring load that I have going on here. I'm going to use a hard, so let me get a pick solder, get a nice hard going on, get my hard, and then I'm going to get in close and I'm going to hit it from under but lay my solder. There we go. See how that went under? There we go. So there's a nice hard one there. Perfect. I always love it when I do this where you guys can see it too. Okay, I'm going to do a quench. Voila. Now, I can get this polished off a little bit. So I'm going to actually show you how I'm going to get it into size with my metal with my metal piece again. So let's roll out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go in and attach these 4 pieces around like I showed you to start with, because that's going to be the easiest way to go. And I'm going to do this with a medium. And I don't need that hot of a flame. And I have my medium set up here in this corner, so I'm going to grab and pick solder right onto the ends of all these pieces here, like right like this. And I'm staying right on the end. There you go. See how I did that? And, oop. I'm going to have to bring down, you can see a little bit of solder went up the side, but I will have to just bring it down. You just need the tiniest bit. But I need these to sit flush against each of the sides. So there we go, 4 of them going. It's going to be a cool piece. I've been wanting to try this for a while, where the sides are raised. Okay, so I'm going to take my first piece, and there's flux on everything. So remember, when I'm doing a big piece like this, I really want to bring it around and heat up my whole piece. And actually this side is flat, so I'm going to start right here. And sometimes this works out well if you have a compass or a cross on here. I'm going to call this the compass. Hang on. There we go. 1 piece on the medium. Actually, I'm going to use my locking pliers. These are good ones. So I want to get directly across, since we're building this compass type piece. So sometimes when I put my magnifiers on, my measurements are wrong. But I'm just working on the inside of it and jumping over just the tiniest bit. There we go. We get a good solder in there, and you're done. You just hold it in place for a second. And I'm going to bring this piece to the top, but I have to bring it over to a smooth surface. And this one I want exact, so I can just hold this right onto here like this. And you'll get to see the nice solder flow down. So even though my solder went up the sides, this is going to correct it at this point. There we go. See, the solder comes back down so it can unite. I know that one you guys didn't get to see very well, but you will get to see this one. And this helps me, again, to be able to get these exactly lined up. This is where, my pins, my T-pins sometimes come in handy. There we go. So this is done with a medium. So this I didn't have to quench because they aren't going to come undone. But I'm going to set a bezel on every single one of these points, which will be really cool. And in between, I'm going to actually have to actually get these redone, make sure that they're not going to fall off the bracelet. So I'll have to protect it, and you'll see different ways. I'm going to put the hold it onto the end. So right now I'm just filing the edges. I'm going to take this and file them, make sure my edges are good. Okay, so if you don't have hold it, you actually can hold your piece a little bit off the end, just like this. You can, let's see what side you'll be able to see the best. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. All right. Okay, I'm going to actually set up a piece. Here's the piece that I filed. So let me get this, a little bit of flux painted onto here. You also, with hold it, you could, to make sure your piece doesn't come apart while you're soldering a bezel on here. There's a number of things you can do. So I'm going to actually come at my bezel like this. You guys will get to see the whole back side to it. So this is good. This is going to be done with an easy solder. So let me get these all flipped over and my flux onto here. Trying to see the best way that you're going to be able to see this. Okay, I'm going to get in with my EZ. I don't need a hot flame with EZ. Can you guys see my flame? Yeah, I don't need a hot flame. I'm about right here. And here's a piece of EZ solder. And I'm just going to heat this piece up here. And I could put it on the tip, but I think I'm going to put it on my bezel. It'll be a little bit messier, but I think this will be easier to show you guys. There we go. Okay. I have to let this cool, and I have to be very careful with holding the side of my pliers. I have to be very careful, you know, with holding the side of my bezel wire because I don't want this to. Let me make sure you can see this. Can you guys see it? Yeah. All right. So I need to come straight at this piece right here and just hit the very, very end of it. Now this is going to take a lot of heat because it's on my bezel, but I really have to make sure the seam doesn't get. So I need like 70% of my heat onto, I might use my big pliers. The nice thing about these big pliers is that you can stand further away. So I'm going to pretend like this is a granulation. And I'm resting my arms and coming straight on. I think I need my T-pins here. It's hard for me to see as I'm showing you guys, so let me make sure. This way. Okay, so this is the way you come in. It's the sturdiest way you do it. I've got my EZ solder on here. And the flow happens, and it's done. Voila. Now we're going to get into the next piece. So let me get my solder on the end, my EZ solder. All that fussiness, and we found a way. Sometimes when I do things for the camera, it's harder. I'm going to actually put this solder right on the end of here to make it a little easier. So you get to see two different ways, and you guys pick which way you like better. Okay. I've got my EZ on here. I've got my none onto my bezel, but I'll just spray this one right here. Grab it this way. And I can decide which way I want this to go. I'm heating my piece. I have EZ on the end here. So I'm just going to hold it down. Gently, there we go. You can see the EZ flow. Oops, I've got one more to do. Let me get this going. Actually, I like that better. And remember, you get less mess when you put your solder right onto the wire. Sorry guys, I try to talk you guys through it, but it really is hard when you're soldering. You get in right brain. That's a little piece of EZ right here. And you can see my piece isn't coming undone. Get my locking pliers again. I'm one bezel short because I decided to close it off with that last technique. But I'll just have to make another one and finish up and show you. There we go. This one was quick. I've got 3 of them on now. It looks really cool. It's going to be a great piece. I've got one more little bezel to make, and then I'll be able to show you the finished piece. It's going back in the pickle. Okay. Okay, here is my piece. I am loving this. I just got done polishing it and cleaning it up a little bit. I still have to clean the inside of my bezels, but this is going to be a nice look. I'm kind of liking this as a choker or a bracelet. You can do, you know, multiples in here. Some can have flat, some can have full. The sky is the limit. You guys are going to have to, you know, decide which way your pieces are going to go. So this one is a nice tight one that I have. It's going to sit like this on the end with the rest of my stack. But this will have its own pieces, you know, and it doesn't stick out too far. So that's kind of nice. And these are my gems that go in here. It is 2 kyanites, a rainbow and 2 rainbow tourmalines that are different colors. So I'm real excited about setting this. Okay, you guys have fun with this project, and I'll show you the finished piece.